Okay, so we're now moving on to structural connective tissue. We said there were 4 types of tissues: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle, and nervous tissue. For connective tissue, we said there were 4 types: proper connective tissue, blood, bone, and cartilage. And here's the bone and cartilage. They're both very much structural connective tissue. And we said that connective tissue is always cells in a matrix, and that the matrix is then made up of fibers and ground substance. So if bone and cartilage are both connective tissue, we have to think, what are the cells we're going to find in there? So in cartilage, we're going to find that we have chondrocytes and chondroblasts. The word for cartilage, I hope you can see, is chondro. And a chondroblast is actually going to make the cartilage, whereas a chondrocyte will just maintain the cartilage that's already been there. And what's cartilage? Cartilage are cells in a matrix. So basically the chondroblasts are making the matrix. They make the protein fibers of mainly collagen, spit it out of the cell by exocytosis, and then also spit out those proteins, other proteins and carbohydrate proteins that make up the gloop of the soup of the ground substance around it. So that's what the chondroblasts are doing. And then the chondrocytes just maintain that, just check that it's all okay. I don't fully understand how the chondrocytes do that. It's, very complicated. But that's what they're doing. We seem to see that the chondrocytes are no longer pouring out massive amounts of collagen, but they do maintain this matrix in some way. Okay, so chondrocytes, cartilage. Osteocytes, bone. Osteoblast, osteocyte, osteoclast. These are building bones if they're osteoblasts. They're maintaining bones if they're osteocytes. And then in bones, we have a very different cell as well. These are osteoclasts that are going to chew up the bone and destroy it. And when we get to talking to bone about bone more, you'll see the difference and why we need them. So cytes are going to maintain, blasts are going to build in the same way. Chondro means cartilage, osteo means bone. So let's look at cartilage. There are 3 types of cartilage. Hyaline cartilage, which we find in our nose, the ends of bones, and at the end of our ribs. That's a very, very smooth cartilage. It allows us to have sort of less friction at the end of our joints, and we can move our bones easily in a joint. Elastic cartilage, elastic has this recoil. So we actually put that in our ears, which are going to be flapped around and hit a bit, and they need to bounce back. And in the epiglottis, which is the little flap that covers the windpipe every time we swallow. So it gets pushed down and bounces back, pushed down and bounces back every time we swallow. And then fibrocartilage is actually a shock absorber. It's got many, many more fibers in. It really acts as a shock absorber. And we put that in the intervertebral discs, the discs between the bones of our spine, so that as we're running or walking, all that up and down motion, we've got shock absorbers between the bones. And we also need shock absorbers in our knees, because when we jump, the knees take a lot of weight. So we put shock absorbers in the meniscus of the knee. Yeah, there are other reasons for it as well, but we can look at that later. So this is a nice picture that just shows us the blue is the hyaline cartilage. If in doubt, it's hyaline cartilage. Hopefully you can see the blue is everywhere. At the end of every single bone, there's blue. Yeah. The green is just the ear and the epiglottis. That's elastic cartilage. And the red, again, not so much of it. Between the vertebrae of the spine, at the symphysis pubis, that's joining our 2 hip bones at the front, and then in the menisci of the knee, that you sort of might miss if I didn't point it out, because it's not very obvious. So if in doubt, go for hyaline cartilage, because we've got masses of it. So cartilage is always going to resist some sort of compression, but fibrocartilage does that more than others. It's got lots of collagen in, which gives great strength, also gives a bit of flexibility. And then the water means that it can bounce back and be more resilient. So, does it have blood vessels? Well, here, no, it does not. Cartilage has no blood vessels and no nerves. So when you damage your cartilage, it does not heal very well. Little bits of damage can heal because there are obviously nutrients getting to the cartilage to keep it alive. But big areas of damage in cartilage do not heal very well. And we can talk more about that in class, because some of you may have damaged your menisci and they have healed, and menisci are very weird. So we can discuss that in class. But generally the rule is cartilage has no blood vessels. If you damage cartilage, you're going to struggle to heal it. So where are the nutrients coming from to keep our cartilage alive? Well, we have a perichondrium surrounding the cartilage that allows blood vessels into it in the perichondrium. Peri meaning around, chondrium meaning cartilage. So this is stuff around the cartilage that actually has blood vessels in, that brings the nutrients in. And when we talk about joints, I'll talk about how we get nutrients into the hyaline cartilage at the end of bones for the frictionless joints. So that takes us on to bones. So I'll come back in a new video.